excited to be here tonight?
Because I'm just excited.
Yeah. No other explanation. Now, I do believe, tell me the truth, is it true that your dad has a ringside seat but didn't get you guys ringside seats?
That is true, but it's because of his YouTube channel, okay? It's his YouTube, okay?
Her dad's an influencer. Let him go, guys. But your dad's awesome, right?
Yeah.
See, he's awesome. Yeah! Give it up for Claire.
Can you believe that there are some people in this world that did not tune in to the Alliance Vlog podcast? Shame on you!
Shame on you. My name is Ella Envy, and I'm one half of the NWA Women's World Tag Team Champion.
And I'm Kinsey Page, the other half of the NWA World Women's Tag Team Champion.
And you better go listen to the Alliance Vlog, what is it called again?
Podcast, period.
Or you're ugly. Pretty Empower approved.
Hey guys, check this out. I am officially now sponsored by Dubby. Dubby is a clean energy drink made to give you focus with no crash. If you guys are like me, you're always needing a burst of energy, especially with one with no crash. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. It keeps me awake with no jitters, guys. Check it out. Merch link is in the bio. Dubby.
Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance Vlog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
Yelling at the screen doesn't make the thing go any faster, J-Cal. Hey, welcome to the Alliance, guys. No, it's not the Alliance, guys. Whoops. That's error number one. Welcome to the pre-party with your boy, J-Cal. And this is a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is J-Cal, and I'm here each and every Tuesday to talk NWA with you as we navigate these waters, these tumultuous. Is that the right word? No. You're not supposed to use words that you don't know. We're going to navigate these difficult waters that are ahead of us as we embark on the adventure that is the manifest destiny of National Wrestling Alliance. Again, my name is J Cal, and I've had far too much W for today. I see that I have a lot of friends in the chat, so I'm going to go to it and say, what is up, Jeremy and Willie and Tim and and the great Hisa is here. All my pals are here today, and we're talking NWA. We're talking National Wrestling Alliance. Of course, we are on the footsteps, the march, if you will, to the Crockett Cup 2023, where the tag team spotlight is showcased amongst the immortals, amongst the stars of professional wrestling. Obviously, I'm being a little facetious because, you know, the NWA is obviously not the grand, well, let me rephrase that. The NWA is the granddaddy of them all, but it's not treated as such. A lot of people snub their nose at the National Wrestling Alliance, and I say, hey, there'll be no nose snubbing here. We don't do that here. No, I didn't fall asleep in the chair. I got actually a nice haircut, actually. I got it cleaned up yesterday. No, this is this hat, actually. You know, I always like to wear the merchandise approved hat. I like wearing the good hat, but unfortunately I cannot find it. So this was the hat that I had made up by who made these? Queensboro. In fact, if you have one of these hats, it means I probably gave it to you. You can't buy this hat. You have to be given this hat. And I gave this hat to Will Martin from This Is Pro Wrestling. I gave this hat to Dave Scooby. I gave this hat to both members of the original Pretty Empowered, Ella Envy. I'm a big fan. and Kenzie Page. I gave this hat to Sal Renaro, and I gave this hat to Colby Carino. Not everybody has this hat. It is an exclusive, and you can't buy this hat. But if you need one, I could probably get you one. I think I have like one or two of them still lying around the house somewhere. But yes, I talk NWA probably too much. My wife says I do. And she's a good judge of my character because she has to hear my ramblings quite frequently. We are on the prefaces. I need to stop trying to use big words. Just talk simple. Say less word, mean more thing. We are on the footsteps of Crockett Cup 2023, and I'm very... Matt Cardona was offered a hat. Matt Cardona refused the hat. And ever since then, that man has been dead to me. $20 for a signature. Jesus. Matt Cardona, that's highway robbery, sir. Want to know how much Jax Dane charged me for a signature? Do you want to know how much Scrap Iron Adam Pearce charged me for a signature? Do you want to know how much the legendary Harley Race charged David Marquez to sign my belt? Now, Ricky Steamboat asked for $40. I had no problem paying that. AJ Styles asked for $5. I had no problem paying that. Hell, Colt Boom Boom Cabana, I think he charged me like $10. Cardona with his $20 autographs. Get out of here, man. I get it. That dude has an expensive lifestyle that he has to keep up, and I get it. But yeah, never again. The only signatures that I'm missing on that legendary 10 pounds of replica are, well, actually, there's quite a few. So I have Sting. No, I don't have Sting. I was supposed to get Sting. I don't have Sting. I need Tommy Rich. I need Barry Windham. I need Terry Funk. I need the Great Muta. That's probably not going to happen. I need Masahiro Chono. Also probably not going to happen. Rhino. I need Christian. Micropada. I need Micropada's signature. I won't be able to get Chris Candido's, unfortunately. He passed away. But I have quite a few signatures on my 10 pounds of replica. Like I said, Adam Pearce, Colt Boom Boom Cabana. Oh, Tokyo Monster Kahagas would be a welcome addition. Rob Conway would also be a welcome addition. Tim Storm, Jax Dane, Satoshi Kojima. One person from New Japan Pro Wrestling has signed that belt. Raven. I was supposed to get Sabu. Sabu was unable to be at the event that I paid $20 to be at to get a signature, so that was kind of a bummer. Dan the Beast Severin, Willie Bowen asked me, yeah, we got Dan Severin and Ken Shamrock on the same day. That was kind of a cool moment. I should have had them take a better picture today. The Sheik. Some point, maybe there would be a time where we can bury the hatchet, old Sheiky and I, old Joe Kabibo and I. I don't know. That might not be a crazy thing to say anymore. The people he ripped off, seemingly have moved on. Maybe I should too. Yeah, I currently, no, I don't have the Sheik's autograph. I haven't been currently... the Sheik has to pay you $20 to sign it. Tim, you're on it today, man. By the way, programming notes. Also, tomorrow night we will have, not only in the early part of the evening will we have the other Alliance guys, which is Mr. Dave Scooby, Mr. Jeremy, and Mr. Tim, covering the National Wrestling Alliance at 3:05 Pacific, 6:05 Eastern. But we also have a special interview that we'll be doing with Mikey O'Shea, TikTok's Mikey O'Shea. He'll be joining us live at 7 p.m. on the West Coast, 10 o'clock Eastern. For all of you who remember Mikey O'Shea from his time in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, he's also wrestled throughout the Southern California Indies. He's really starting to break through on TikTok. So we're going to talk to him about about wrestling, of course. And then Willie says, Sting? No, I still need Sting. Sting would be great. I don't have Sting's signature, unfortunately. Sorry, I've got a lot of text messages coming in. People are just clamoring to be a part of the show. Also, another programming note, not this Thursday, but the following Thursday, we're going to ask Tony Givens from Innovative Pro Wrestling to join us on the Alliance Guys podcast. As Innovative Pro Wrestling has returned, they've ran 2 shows, but one of the big things that they're doing, and that kind of ties into this show, Jeremy will not be on tomorrow night's show. Understood, Jeremy. I totally get that. Happy birthday to your granddaughter, number 1. That's amazing. Awesome. That means you guys have been doing the other Alliance Guys for almost a year now, because I think she was born right around when we first started that. But getting back to Tony Givens, and kind of the reason why we're going to have him on is because it's already set for May 27th, just a few weeks away. Sigmund, who you might remember from last year's Crockett Cup, will be taking on Kerry Morton, your current World Junior Heavyweight Champion, at Innovate at the Collision Course big event in Kingsport, Tennessee. I know our pal Mike will be there, or at least want to be there. Hopefully he'll be there. I don't know how close he is to Kingsport, but I know he used to go to those events back in the day. Let's see. Sorry, guys. I have to answer this real quick. So, yeah, and that's kind of cool because you look at what Kerry Morton has done, and I don't have the exact numbers here in front of me, which is a shame because I probably should have those things in front of me. But, yeah, we've had quite a stellar year in the, I am getting blown up here. Sorry, guys. I said year. I got distracted by Jeremy's granddaughter's birthday. No, what I meant to say is that Kerry Morton's had quite an amazing run as World Junior Heavyweight Champion. I know they were kind of getting into this last night at This Is a Pro Wrestling podcast, but that man has now held that title for, a couple of months, but he's done some things that no one else has done as world champion. And I'm going to pull up some of his accolades real quick because I wasn't originally going to talk about Kerry Morton. But I mean, you have to give the devil his due. Kerry Morton has been, he's a 22-year-old man. He was going to college to be, not to be, but he's in college. He has a scholarship for cheerleading. I don't know that wrestling was supposed to be front and center for him, but it has been lately. And when you look at the fact that he hasn't been wrestling for very long, and he's been World Junior Heavyweight Champion for 178 days and has had 18 title defenses since winning that championship at Hard Times in New Orleans. He's defended against Colby Carino, Brian Pillman Jr., Jimmy Lloyd from Game Changer Wrestling, Alex Taylor, Jack Hartwell and Sal the Pal in Mexico, Jaron Fulton, who I believe is Bobby Fulton's son or nephew. I'm not entirely sure. Joe Alonzo a couple times, Bobby Bishop, Adam Brooks from Australia, Mike Diamond. I mean, the fact of the matter is he had like almost, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 title defenses while he was in Australia. And that's huge. Now, of course, he's had more title defenses in the United States, but he's had more title defenses in Australia than he has actually wrestling in the NWA rings for their TV programs or pay-per-views. In fact, he's had more international defenses than he has had title defenses on Power or USA or pay-per-views. The man is being very active with that title. The fact of the matter is, he's obviously been a very central part of the NWA going forward. Billy Corgan made sure that he was in Mexico City defending that title. Originally, you got to remember, Kerry Morton wasn't scheduled to be on the show in Mexico. There had a change of plans to get him there, and they kind of aligned some matches to make sure that he would have a match. And initially, it was supposed to be Jack Cartwheel versus Sal the Pal, but things changed very quickly. And so it's pretty cool to me when you see a guy like Kerry Morton, who essentially is a homegrown talent for the NWA. He's 22 years of age. He's been with the company for the last year and a half. And it's just, I feel like we're seeing something developing here. And, you know, the last few episodes, we've talked about the Southern Six from Australia, but really Kerry is starting to come into his own. As we originally just kind of thought if he was playing off of his dad's legacy, he really has kind of come into his own. You know, he's still Kerry Morton. He's still the son of I'm stuttering a lot today. He is still the son of Ricky Morton, a former world junior champion in his own right, but he's also kind of starting to forge this new path. And it'll be interesting to see what happens for the NWA and for Kerry Morton as he kind of blazes this path that's not, you know, not on the same side as the path that his father chose, right? You know, outside of a stretch in the WWE and outside of a stretch with the York Foundation, Ricky Morton has been the babiest of all baby faces. His pops that he would get in the 80s and in the 90s, you know, battling Ric Flair, battling the Midnight Express. That guy was super over, and he continued to wrestle. You know, winning the junior heavyweight championship, I believe that was like in 2016, maybe 2015 from Chase Owens, winning the tag titles just back in 2019, him and Robert Gibson. I'm not a huge Ricky Morton fan. Don't mistake my praise for him as celebrating him. I think at this point, he is past his prime, but the fact is that his legacy and impact on the sport of wrestling, and specifically the National Wrestling Alliance and Southern wrestling in general, can still be felt to this day. And, you know, here he is presenting his son. His son is blazing his own path. And you've got these two who are going to be working together, apparently, for the Crockett Cup. So it's been kind of a strange year. And it'll be interesting to see how this right turn will go. You know, what we're going to see next from Kerry Morton. It's all just kind of up in the air. But all of this to say that Kerry Morton will be defending the Junior Heavyweight Championship May 27th against Sigmund. We also know that he has a title defense scheduled. This has been on the books for quite some time, but he'll be wrestling Fodder on June the 17th in Mooresville, North Carolina. Again, just another stop on the many stops that the World Junior Heavyweight Champion has taken. You can say whatever you want about Kerry Morton, but you can't tell me that kid doesn't want to work, that he doesn't want to be out there, because he's out there. He's putting in the work. I pushed the wrong button. All right. So I mean, that's pretty interesting stuff. Of course, we got to celebrate Camille. She just surpassed 700 days as Women's World Champion. You know, a lot of people are asking what's next for Camille, and honestly, we don't know. We don't know. She has pretty much beaten everyone within the NWA. Even most recently had a non-title match against Natalia Markova last week on television, but successfully retained the title. And I don't know what's next for her. We're gonna have a excellent match tonight that I'm very much looking forward to. Oh, you guys have some comments. Oh, I see. Sam Retro's in the house. What's up, Sam? Sam is such a cool dude. He actually will share the podcast on his Instagram page, and I think that's awesome. I appreciate it quite a bit. Rick Del Santo too, man. And Rick is my guy. I was so bummed. Rick was supposed to meet us out in New Jersey in Glassboro for the big Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiator event back on March 25th, but wasn't able to get out to the event. I was so bummed. I hope our paths will cross soon, Rick. I was really looking forward to seeing you, but you know, those things happen. Chris says that she's gonna feud with Tessa. I mean, I don't hate that, right? I don't hate the idea of Tessa Blanchard invading the National Wrestling Alliance. I don't hate the idea of a third-generation superstar who has accolades from, you know, near and far all across the world, you know, coming to the NWA. I mean, we could talk about Tessa Blanchard as a run as the Impact World Champion, World Heavyweight Champion, which, you know, I'm not exactly thrilled with. But, you know, we could talk about that. We could talk about Tessa Blanchard and her dominant run as women's champion in Impact. We could talk about Tessa Blanchard and her dominant run with Women of Wrestling. I believe that Tessa Blanchard is actually working another women's wrestling show in Los Angeles. I just saw the date earlier. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, is this new? Oh, I guess this is new. Oh, wow. According to Fightful, Tessa Blanchard just signed a multi-show deal with XPW. You know, XPW, that promotion that was famous for having Masada set himself on fire and having some second-degree burns. This is news to me. We also know that our pal Thom Latimer is also working with XPW. We know in the past that Camille has represented the NWA there at XPW. So maybe we'll see. That's kind of shocking to me. So she's set to be a part of the same show that Thom Latimer will make his return to, and that'll be on May 27th in Newark, New Jersey at the Hart Ballroom at 8 p.m. Doesn't have an opponent listed yet for her, but that's a pretty good get for XPW. I don't care for XPW. I didn't like them the first time around. I don't like them now, but she is Tessa, I think, is a hot commodity. And if she did the work and apologized and actually has redeemed herself to people, I mean, she would be a welcomed addition to the NWA roster. She actually has, and this isn't to take away anything from Camille, because you guys know how much I adore Camille. She is our one-time champion. She does hold the Burke. We're hoping to have Camille come on before the Crockett Cup. But Tessa Blanchard, you know, she has that name recognition, both good and bad. But, you know, again, if I feel like as a society, and maybe I'm over speaking things, but as a society, when somebody apologizes and puts the work in, I'm for giving those people a second chance. Tessa Blanchard is somebody I feel like I could give them a second chance and be comfortable with it, because I feel like she made amends with the right people. I have left that comment on the screen for far too long, but you guys hear what I'm saying. You know, if she's redeemed herself to, you know, La Rosa Negra was the person who I think she had the most heat with and had that altercation with. And if La Rosa Negra can say, hey, I forgive you, and we can be sisters, or maybe not even that, maybe I'm going too far, but if I can agree that we're okay, we're good, and we can be in the ring and be professional, then, I mean, who am I? Who am I to be an observer to hold that against her? So I think that'd be pretty awesome. I see some more comments and I see some more friends here, so I'm going to say what's up to people. But Sam, again, appreciate you, Sam. That's very cool. Sam says this is such a great show and a community. More people should know we exist. Absolutely, the community is growing, guys. I'm working on it. We're trying to get more content here on the site. I might even be starting to talk to a few more people about maybe providing additional content onto our network. We'll see how that works out, though. Our pal Paladin. This W's been hitting different today. Maybe it's the 2 hours of sleep I got. But man, it tastes so good when the bubbles hit your lips. There are no bubbles in W. Paladin says he would love Tessa in AEW. And, you know, I think she'd do well in AEW, especially who's in AEW. You know, for example, I think Tessa and Britt Baker could tear the house down. But there's also quite a few talented women there. Taya Valkyrie, Tessa Blanchard would be a fun match, but I think that's a redo from when they were both in Impact. I also believe she could have a good match. Like maybe she could pull out something really good with Jade Cargill. I think that would be a fun way to go. That would be unexpected. But yeah, I would rather have her in the NWA, if we're going to be honest. The NWA could certainly benefit from her value, her name, her reputation, good and bad. And I'll be honest, good and bad. Some people will tune in to see a train wreck. Others might tune in to see a redemption story. Either way, if you can get people, you can get eyeballs on the product, you're ahead of the game. You're succeeding. The hardest part of growing an audience is just getting eyeballs to come in, getting people a reason to care. We see this with Tyrus, right? We saw this with Austin Aries. We see this with EC3. People have these reputations and they're considered bad dudes or unprofessional people. But honestly, sometimes that's not the case. And when you bring those people in, they tend to grab other audience, more audience to your show. So like when they brought in Austin Aries, I heard a lot of people say how awful that was that they brought in Aries. But all he did was everything they asked him to do. That's it. Put Homicide over, gave us a great World Junior Heavyweight title match at the Crockett Cup last year. Speaking of which, like, wow, it's been a whole year since that Junior Heavyweight title has been in existence. Remember, it was crowned last year. Homicide won it in the four-way. It was Colby Carino, who we haven't seen yet debut for the WWE. I'm drawing a hard time thinking of the gentleman's name who was in the ring with them. Man, I feel bad because he was a good guy too. I know he recently mentioned that he had stepped away from wrestling, not because of anybody pushing him out, but because he decided to take a break. It was Darius Lockhart. That was the gentleman who I was thinking of. So I'm all for I kind of jumped off pace there. I'm all for a return or a debut of Tessa Blanchard in the NWA. Polka Dot Pam's here. Pam's so cool. I want to be cool like Pam. And I don't mean that to be glib. Pam, you're awesome. If you come out here to LA for any of these Smashing Pumpkin shows, I will try to see you and I'll buy you a beer or something to make up for Mexico. I'm going to try to go to those shows that are going to be here in Southern California, mostly because if they're doing the NWA shows, that would be amazing. Plus, I didn't get to stick around and see the Pumpkins perform when I was in Mexico City, so I definitely would like to see what's there. I'll be the first person to admit I'm not the biggest Smashing Pumpkins fan, but they do have a ton of songs that are pretty good. So, we're getting some more love for that Tessa versus Camille. That'd be pretty cool. Paladin says, yeah, she signed a contract. Her talent cannot be denied. Sam says, didn't XPW have issues with ECW over Sabu back in the day? Oh, man, you could do a whole show on the issues that XPW had, but like there was a point in time where Sabu was the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion and the XPW World's Heavyweight Champion. There was a point in time when you're Women's World Champion, Camille was challenging for the XPW Women's Championship. The weird part of this whole NWA XPW kind of like history, I mean, it's true, it exists, it's weird, it's funky, but yeah, there was times where a lot of those talents are going back and forth with both promotions. So but in terms of having trouble with ECW, I think Sabu got fired from ECW a couple of times and then brought back. I know he spent a tour in FMW while away from ECW. It's just so weird. Paladin says she won't apologize for something she didn't do. I don't know the details, right? Like I've heard the rumors. I wasn't in the room. So I'm not going to make assumptions about nothing. All I know is that her beef with La Rosa Negra has been squashed. They're both cool. So as far as I'm concerned, it's cool. It's a done deal. Whatever happened, it's in the past. We can't hang on. That's the thing about life. And don't let me get too preachy here, but if somebody wronged you in the past and you're still holding on to that, like, I get it, man, but like, what's the point? It doesn't do you any bit of good. Is it unless you can use it for motivation to do better? I don't know, but like the people that have wronged me in the past, I don't dislike them. I don't hate them. I don't have room for hate, Too much PMA in this house. Tessa and La Rosa Negra got over their issues. Yeah, whatever it was, it's done now. Paladin says no evidence ever given. A bunch of women got together and they took out a rival's career. I don't know, man. I don't want to get too into it because I just don't know. Mandy's here. I love Mandy's little graphic there. It makes me think of those old hypnotizing rays that you used to see in the movies like in the 70s and 80s. And Tim saying hi to everybody, and they're saying hi back. And Alliance says Colby was released. I don't think Colby was ever actually signed because of the whole firing or hiring freeze. That's what I heard. But I don't know. I don't know. Paladin's going to ask me a question that's going to make me think. I've been meaning to ask you, Jay, why don't you think any of the big companies are interested in Camille? The first thing I'm going to reply to that is, Paladin, how do we know that they're not? Because I haven't signed her? It's my understanding, and I could be mistaken, but at least my understanding with Nick Aldis was that the NWA had options on his contract each year. So that if both sides agreed to renew the option, then he would be under contract. And when he decided he no longer wanted to be under contract, he told them, I will not be agreeing to a contract extension. And so that's when both parties went their separate ways. And I believe that's the same setup that they have for Camille. I could be mistaken. Again, I'm not privy to contract information, but it'd be very hard for me to believe that they're not interested in Camille. She has grown so much in such a short amount of time. She's not the number one women's wrestler on the planet right now, but she is certainly one of the top women in pro wrestling today. Any corporation, any wrestling company, any moniker would be lucky to have Camille on their roster. You can't convince me otherwise. Chris Drummond says, Jay, I respect you like redemption stories, but would you welcome Marty Scurll in the NWA? So that's a little bit different story now, isn't it? I think part of redemption is that you have to ask for forgiveness. And despite what Paladin says, because again, no disrespect intended, Paladin, but you and I don't know. Maybe you do. I don't know. I'm not in close circles with either La Rosa Negra or Tessa Blanchard or anyone who would fill me in on the details. But I know that they squashed that beef. However, it's different for Marty Scurll, and he was accused of some things that weren't, in the United States, they're considered crimes. And I don't know if I wouldn't want my brand associated with somebody who's associated with crimes. And yes, there's a lot more to it than that, and it's not all black and white. There's a lot of shades of gray in that whole story. It's not my story to tell because I don't have the details, just secondhand information. But if it's true, what he did was true, no, you can't bring him into the NWA. Paladin, I can't confirm nor deny. I know that I don't know. I can't confirm nor deny. Carino's a no-go in the WWE. Back on the Indies. Dave Scooby. You heard it here first. An exclusive from Mr. Dave Scooby. Now, I know it's being widely reported, but yeah, back on the Indies. And that's not necessarily a bad deal. It's a company. The WWE is going through a huge, dramatic change in the way that it's operating. It's no longer the Vince McMahon show. It's a bigger deal now. And they did do a hiring freeze, and that makes perfect sense too. And guess what? Before all this is said and done, there's going to be a lot of releases. A lot of people are not going to be working for the WWE that are working there currently. I don't say that to celebrate it. I'm not excited for that. I feel bad when people lose their jobs and lose money, but that's what's going to happen because it's not the same corporation. And look, before they were sold, Nick Khan was cutting people loose left and right. They even brought some of those people back, but for the most part, it is what it is. So I don't see, I don't think that this is the worst thing in the world for Colby. He can get back out there on the Indies. Maybe an opportunity will present itself in Impact. Maybe an opportunity will present itself for AEW, or maybe the opportunity to return to the NWA is there. Any way you look at it, hopefully that things will work out in a different way. Pan, that's awesome. That's awesome. Sam Retro says, I didn't like the way they sabotaged Tessa's world title win. And again, I don't really know a whole lot about that, so I'm not going to get more into it. Paladin, you have to understand, too, that there was a lot of moving pieces there. And Paladin says, well, TK wanted Thunder Rosa, and he plucked her out. There was a lot of moving pieces in there. We know for a fact, number one, they were toying with the idea allowing Thunder Rosa to go to AEW in exchange for some other things. And I don't know details. Again, Thunder Rosa and I are not on a we don't share secrets with each other. But I've heard that part of why she was able to take that opportunity with AEW was because that she made it clear she wasn't going to be renewing her contract with the NWA. And it was almost like one of those deals where you see in baseball when you have a upcoming free agent, right, who is not going to re-sign with that team but has a lot of value, and you trade that player away to another team in order to acquire value from it. And I believe that they did the same thing with Thunder Rosa when they knew that she wasn't going to resign. We knew that she wasn't coming back. Hey, TK, we know that you want to sign Thunder Rosa. Help us put on this women pay-per-view. Help us work this out. And I'll make sure that I release Thunder Rosa early so that you can sign her. Because obviously there was that the idea was that they were going to Thunder Rosa was going to go to AEW. She was super over. I mean, that's the thing about Thunder Rosa. When she got into the NWA, she got over fast. She had that one match. I think she had one match in Impact, and then boom, she was in AEW, and that was it. And then we had the Empowered pay-per-view before the 73rd anniversary show, and we had talents appear from AEW on that program. Polka Dot Pam brings up a very good point. Maybe she's happy. She's content. And that's the thing, too. Like, you know, it's not an insult to be content. I mean, when you look at Camille's body of work, she doesn't just do NWA matches, right? She's all over the place. We mentioned earlier that she had done matches with XPW. She had done some matches with Coastal Championship Wrestling based out of I think they're based out of Tampa, but they've also done shows in like Nashville and other parts of Tennessee. And they've done, I think they were supposed to do a TV taping in California, but she's been able to do different shows. She's been able to appear in different places. She's wrestled for the United Wrestling Network's Memphis Championship Wrestling. She has these opportunities to kind of come and go as she please. And remember, the work schedule that you have while being in the NWA is very relaxed. It's very wrestler friendly, right? Because you give up these dates for the NWA. Okay, we're going to be the pay-per-view. We're going to have a couple of matches, TV tapings afterwards. And then, like, that's it. And then, like, for 3 months, you don't have to do anything. You can go work some indie shows, or you don't have to. And that can be very desirable for some people. I mean, I think it's pretty cool. I wouldn't mind working really hard for 3 days and then getting like the next 2 months down. And if I chose to work more, I could. And Paladin, like, again, man, I appreciate you. I want you to know that, but I don't think you know details. You hear what's being reported on the internet because that's what's being reported. I don't know the details either. Everything that I'm saying is based on assumption. I'm not going to treat it as fact. And I don't know that you could say that he bought out Thunder Rosa's contract. In order for it to be bought out, it has to be purchased, right? You can't just walk up to Billy Corgan and say, hey, I'm going to buy out that contract. And Corgan says, oh, man, I wanted to hang on to her. Both parties have to agree to that. All parties involved have to agree to that. And if Billy Corgan didn't want to let her go, he didn't have to. But she could also stay at home, too, and just be stuck in a contract that she never would have honored. Sam says, I hope we get some names for the Crockett Cup tonight. I mean, we kind of have already. I don't know if you guys saw it. It was on the NWA Wrestling website, which I don't have the window open, but let me try to get to it. Where did it go? All right, I'll have to look it up. They did have a press release. We know that Arez and Toxica will be in the Crockett Cup. We know that Mysterious and Octagon Jr. will be part of the Crockett Cup. We know that some of these teams. Here we go. Okay, so representing AAA, we have Octagon Jr. and Mistez Jr. We have Toxin and Arez. We have Of course, Knox and Murdoch punched their ticket. We know that the Country Gentleman will be there. We know that La Rebellion will be there. We are waiting for some more tag teams. Magnum Muscle is in the event. They have them on the website. So, and then Ricky and Carrie. I don't know how the Mortons got invited to be in the tournament, but apparently they are. I don't think they have the full lineup yet to be announced, but and that's the thing. There's more to come too. We're expecting more announcements. We know that Bully Ray will be there tonight on the TV taping, and he's got something to talk about. Okay. Let's see. Steve G. I don't think I've seen you in the chat before, so welcome, Steve G. Appreciate you being here. We definitely need a new NWA champion. Tyrus just isn't doing it. I'm not a huge Tyrus fan either. I'll be the first one to admit it. Our pal Willie Bowen here in the chat isn't a huge Tyrus fan. I honestly haven't met anybody who said, yeah, Tyrus is great. I don't know if what he does for ratings. I don't know what he does to bring people to the venues. We know that 312 sold out, but it was also a small arena. We know that the Nuff Said in Tampa sold out. There was a huge following, a huge delegation for him in Pam, help me out, Chalmette, Louisiana. So I hope that we have a new champion soon, but if, I think Billy's is a numbers guy, and if the numbers keep supporting that Tyrus is good for business, then he's going to keep putting Tyrus in that position. Paladin says Billy booked himself into a corner, making Camille so strong now no one can beat her. But I don't think she is been booked that way. I mean, we saw just last week she couldn't put Markova away. She couldn't pin Natalia Markova. In fact, had they had 5 more minutes in that match, she might have tapped out to Natalia Markova. So I feel like we might see a character development. We might see some change in the way that Camille has been presented, but up until recently, she's had some very tough matches, and you'll see when we watch when they finally released the footage from Mexico City, her match with La Haida, I think that's how you say it, La Haida. She struggled in that match, and a match she typically would dominate. Now, again, if you know, but she had a lot of traveling issues getting out to there, and it was tough. She was the heel in a place where she normally would be a face. And Camille spent a lot of time in AAA. It's not like she's unknown there. She's now wrestled there multiple times, including the challenging Taya Valkyrie for the Reinas de Arena Championship. She also was part of the Lucha Libre World Cup, where Team USA, the women won, which was Donna Perazzo and Jordan Grace. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I think it's starting to get pretty good. I think Camille, what we're seeing now with Camille is, she's been on top for 700 days. Who's going to be the one to dethrone her? I think that's an interesting storyline as it is. Paladin, man, I can't support you on that one, brother. James Bell is here. Hey, James, drive safely, brother. What's in Annapolis? You got something going on? Chris says Camille's becoming a regular for AAA. I have no problem with that. I think that's great. That is great. AAA is a resource for the NWA. Let's make our stars bigger on both sides, right? What did we just see? Commander showed up in AEW. Vikingo showed up in AEW. Now they're like these huge stars. Now, Vikingo, I know for a fact Vikingo has been a big deal for a while. I got to see Vikingo back in September of 2021 when he won the Crash Heavyweight Championship in a 4-way that featured Bandito and Willie Mack and I think Dragon Lee. So I've known that Vikingo is a big deal. It took a while, but the rest of the world kind of caught up to him during WrestleMania weekend when he made his debut for Game Changer, AEW, all those other promotions. He is the top of the card for AAA. He is their mega champion. What nobody really knew about was Commander. And again, given the opportunity to showcase himself, he took it and ran with it. And now he's getting booked everywhere. I think he was the opening match. Him and Oriental Jr., not Oriental Jr., excuse me, that is very not his name. Octagon Jr. Sorry, I misspoke. Octagon Jr. and Commander were the opening card for the AAA event in Mexico City. So having those two compete against Scion and Homicide, I mean, it was a fun match. but Commander could have been highlighting that show, and I feel like there's I feel like that's a issue that hopefully hopefully we'll see some of the NWA talents appear in AAA more. I think Thom Latimer would benefit well from competing there. I think Chris Adonis would benefit well from being there. Steve says, hey, is there a problem with your merch page? Is that hat available on your merch page? This particular hat is not, but there is an Alliance blog hat on that store. Let me see if I can pull it up now. I'm not doing anything, just doing a podcast, that's all. Don't mind me, I'm being facetious. Oh man, I can't get to that right now. Hold on just a second. Let me see. I'm sure I could get there somehow. Oh, I see. Okay. I guess the link didn't transfer, but I can get to that store, I think, from here. And we're live, buddy. Let's see. All right. So I'm going to put it in the chat because, that's what I do. If you're interested in that hat, there it is. It's in the comments. We'll also throw it on the screen real quick. All right, let's see. There it is. All right. So, yeah, I mean, that going back to this whole NWA, AAA thing, yeah, I think it's good for both sides, especially if the talent can come back and forth. There's a lot of stuff going on here, but I want to get to tonight's card. So I'm going to pause from taking your comments, and then we're going to talk about, get some more of your comments. And I was right. Yes. Let's see. Yes. Xiaomi. I got it right. All right. Okay. So tonight's card, I'll go through this as quickly as I can. First of all, and I want to share this link as well. I think some of you might have heard about Black G's. Obviously, he wasn't at the 312 pay-per-view. We didn't know exactly why, but then it's been reported that he was diagnosed with, I guess it's cancer in his plasma, which is not good. It's a battle that he's going to face pretty much the rest of his life. They do have a GoFundMe set up. If you are able to, even a couple of dollars would be appreciated. He's in the biggest battle that he can face. It's scary. He's got a young daughter. This is not, it's not good. And we hope that he not only wins his battle, but also thrives. We're all, supporting Black G's. So, if you believe in God, say prayers. If you don't, send positive vibes. If you have the money, send cash. And if you don't, share it. Maybe somebody else will. But just from my own person to Black G's, I hope you beat this, and we're rooting for you. So today is May 9th, and tonight on Power, we're supposed to see perhaps maybe history being made. Not since Jax Dane on February 6, 2015. Excuse me, that date isn't correct. Not since Jax Dane have we seen a unification match with two titles. But that might be what we see tonight, because Jax Dane on February 6, 2015 defeated Lou Marconi at the Sawmill to become the NWA National Champion. This was in a time where the Flux in the NWA, they had just ended their relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling. And Jax Dane, 2 months later in Las Vegas, Nevada, would win the North American Championship by defeating Tim Storm and briefly unifying these titles on his path and his bid to become the next World's Heavyweight Champion. However, things didn't work out so well for Jax. Shortly after winning the North American Championship and the national title, he would be injured, having to vacate both titles. Tim Storm would regain the North American Championship, but eventually Jax Dane would get that opportunity to wrestle for the World's Heavyweight Championship. That would be the last time. We're talking about 13 years. No, that's not right. 8 years, excuse me. Gosh, math is hard sometimes. 8 years since we've had a single individual hold 2 separate titles in the NWA. If EC3, the Overman, is able to acquire the television title tonight from Thom Latimer, then he'll do something that hasn't been done in 8 years. Plus, even more so, he will solidify the fact that he should be the man challenging Tyrus for the 12 pounds of gold at Crockett Cup. However, he could also snakebite himself. Because if Thom Latimer wins this match, doesn't he kind of leapfrog over EC3 in terms of his opportunity for the 10 pounds of gold? If he defeats EC3, who is your national champion, that gives him 3 victories in his Lucky 7 series, but even more so, beating the man who is the number 1 contender by virtue of that title should make him the next man in line. This matchup has a lot at stake, even though only 1 title is on the line. If EC3 walks away as, EC2 belts, I mean, that's a pretty big deal. But if he loses to Thom Latimer, doesn't Latimer get that position in line? Doesn't he leapfrog EC3 to Tyrus? I think this is going to be a very interesting match, and it kind of will tell you what's going to happen next by the results of this match. I honestly don't think we're going to have a victor. I think it's going to somehow end in a timeout or disqualification or a double count out or something, because this is the one that should be on pay-per-view, to be quite honest. Next up, we get Yabo versus Ricky Morton, and this one is the exact opposite for me. I have almost zero interest in this match, maybe even less than zero. Yabo is a beloved character who wrestles through the Midwest, and the people love him, but I just don't know. I mean, I think he'd be better suited at a Gathering of the Juggalos event. But I wasn't blown away by what he did at 312. I know that Robert Anthony vouched for him, and it seems like the pipeline from Chicago pro wrestling talent to the NWA goes right through Robert Anthony, as we've seen guys like Joe Alonzo, Missa Kate really make a big impact in the NWA, and that pipeline will continue to funnel talent through the National Wrestling Alliance as long as Robert Anthony is associated with the brand. So I guess we get Yabo tonight. I will say this, though, Ricky Morton, I'm also not a huge fan of Ricky Morton either, but we were saying singing his praises earlier in the show. Former, even as recent as 2019, tag team champion with Robert Gibson, a former world junior heavyweight champion, I believe back in 2016. And it looks like him and Kerry will be partnering up again to compete at the Crockett Cup. So there's no one stopping Ricky Morton, and I don't believe Yabo the Clown is the guy to do it, but we'll see. Next up, we also advertised as a Bully Ray Sounds Off, a feature, not something that we normally get as a Bully Ray, promo in the center of the ring. He's been quite refreshing in his time with the NWA, working more as a babyface as opposed to his time with Impact, where he was a heel. They say that he's going to sound off, but they don't say specifically about what. But if I'm going to read the tea leaves, there's only one thing that's happening worth mentioning when you talk about one of the world's greatest tag team wrestlers of all time, and that's the Crockett Cup. Now, we know that the Briscoes won't be back because, of course, the untimely passing of Jay Briscoe. Hopefully, Mark Briscoe is still able to make an appearance at this event, considering that he was the last man to hold that cup with his brother. But, in the past, Mark Briscoe and Bully Ray were a tag team with Jay as a 6-man tag. They're the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team champions. Maybe we could see and I know that Mark has said quite regularly that he won't be tagging anymore because his tag team partner is gone. But maybe Bully Ray is going to introduce Mark Briscoe as his tag team partner. Or maybe, and I actually hope this is more the case, maybe the Crockett Cup will be making a stop in Dudleyville before heading to North Carolina. Maybe Devon Dudley passed his physical. Maybe he's healthy enough to jump back in the ring. I've heard speculation that the Dudley boys could return in some small form to wrestle again in 2023. Obviously, they're not built for a long time, but they could be here for a good time. And I would think that having the Dudleys, one of the most decorated tag teams, in fact, the most decorated tag teams in all of pro wrestling, showing up at your tournament instantly lends credibility to the tournament. Remember, they not only won the IWGP tag team titles, the ECW tag team titles, the WWE tag team titles, I think both SmackDown and Raw. They were also the Impact tag team champions, but also the NWA World Tag Team champions. So I think that, if we're going to cross our fingers and hope for something, and I know maybe I'm speaking by myself here, maybe I'm in the minority, but I think a Team 3D reunion at the Crockett Cup would be pretty awesome. And of course, the main event is Pam's favorite wrestler, Chris Adonis, teaming with your world's heavyweight champion, Tyrus, to take on Aaron Stevens' two dudes with attitudes. And I'm talking about Blunt Force Trauma. This match hasn't been advertised as an entry match for the Crockett Cup or a qualifier. So I don't know if this match will have any kind of ramifications for the Crockett Cup. But it'll be interesting to see these guys go in the ring. We know that that Tyrus has faced some stiff competition before becoming world's heavyweight champion, but these two guys are tough, and I like to think that him and I'd like to see what this match is going to show us. If Adonis and Tyrus are going to be a tag team at Crockett Cup, this will gauge how good they will be as a tag team, and if they don't, this might just lead to more, stirring the pot, if you will, between the two. I personally hope that they're actually wrestling against each other at Crockett Cup. I know that we saw earlier in the chat, somebody mentioned something about Tyrus and Adonis wrestling at the Cup, and I'd rather see that for the title. Now, we talked about all that. Let's go back to some of your comments. Let's see. Willie says, Tyrus is good at pie and hot dog eating contest. Chris says, hey, Jay, if you're a businessman, would you buy the Crockett Cup 2019 from TK? I mean, do you need to? It was co-promoted, like Ring of Honor produced the event. We know that. I believe it's still available on Fight. Do you need to buy it? Maybe he's willing to part with it. I don't know. I don't really know the benefit of owning that. I mean, the library itself it exists. They made their money off the pay-per-view. Yeah, I guess I would if I could acquire it for a reasonable price. Why wouldn't I? Paladin says that was silly. Everyone wanted a winner, and we know who's going to win. I don't know. Steve says, Lamsum, you know it. Best wrestling going. David Marquez is a genius. Yeah, man, Steve. Hey, you're with Kindred Spirits here. I'm a huge David Marquez fan. I quite enjoy the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood product, or I guess it's Championship Wrestling presented by CarShield now. I haven't checked out Derby City yet, and I need to. I've been wanting to, and Memphis is exactly what Memphis is. It's a nice developmental, and I think they could start doing some pretty big things in Memphis. All three of them would be a lot of fun. Paladin says, so who do you think can beat Camille? Chris Statlander is going to beat Jade when she returns from injury. Willie says, I'd rather see Papo Esco or K Toomer with the 10 pounds of gold opposed to the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Steve G says Markova could beat Camille. Paladin says, it's on video, Jay. Thunder sandbagging Marina Schaefer. Believe your lying eyes. My eyes don't lie, sir. But my camera's out of focus. There we go. That's better. James says, my company is one of the sponsors for the number 28 in the car and the number 28 in the NXT car for racing this weekend. And we're nice, dude. Enjoy, man. That should be a lot of fun. Willie says, NXT stands for Nasty Extreme Trash. All right. Steve G says, it's sad Billy Corgan doesn't see Tyrus as bringing down the NWA. It's hard, right? Because I don't have the analytical data that Billy Corgan gets. He has marketing teams. He has people involved that judge engagement. And if they're telling him that he's a winner, then I guess he's a winner. We got 5 minutes of power. I'm going to keep going until I get through your comments. If you guys take off, that's cool. Remember, be here tomorrow where Dave Scooby and Tim will have the Timmy Thunder will have the other Alliance Guys podcast. And then later in the afternoon, evening, it'll be J Cal, sessions with J Cal featuring Mikey O'Shea. He's famous on TikTok. Willie says, Stevie Wonder can see that Tyrus is garbage. I love it. Stevie G says, I don't think that wrestler is AEW yet. If I had to take a wild guess, knowing the way TK collects ex-WWE wrestlers, I'd say it's Mercedes. All right. Lamb says, maybe Billy wants to retire one belt just to introduce a new title months later. Oh, I think maybe with the 2 belts. Yeah, I mean, anything could happen, right? I wouldn't be surprised either way. Steve says, Lamb, I hope not. Looking, the majority of wrestling fans view the Raw Championship as a secondary title. Yeah. Willie says, clowns belong in the circus or in the WWE. Luthez is not a big fan of Yabo the Clown. Lamb says, we know Billy loves bringing in new titles. Yeah, that's true. Steve says, Paladin, that being said, I hope Mercedes stays away from the Outcasts. All right. Lamb says, I don't know if Devon should wrestle after having back surgery and a stroke in the past 3 years. Yeah, I mean, that's true too. And who knows? I certainly don't want anyone to do anything that's going to put their health in jeopardy. Maybe there's a way he could be in the ring, but not really be in the ring. Maybe, Bully does all the work. Chris says, I wouldn't mind Bully Ray managing Devon's kids at the Crockett Cup. All right. I mean, I don't hate that idea either. Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards in the Crockett Cup. Steve G, I don't know if that's going to happen. Recently there's been some news about, Davey Richards that have painted him in a negative light. Hopefully nothing too serious. I recently saw him post a photo of his son with what's her name? His ex-wife, who's in the NWA, whose name I can't think of right now, Angelina Love. He posted a photo of the 3 of them at their son's karate tournament. So hopefully he's back in a good place. But he's taking a sabbatical from pro wrestling for a while. Let's see. Willie was the one that said it. Tyrus needs to defend the 10 pounds of gold during the Crockett Cup instead of competing in the tag team tournament. I agree. Yeah, we got 3 minutes left now. Pam says, I don't want anyone to beat Camille, but if it happens, I'd want it to be La Rosa Negra in a rematch. I wouldn't hate that either. Sam, yeah, Ring of Honor actually promoted the Crockett Cup in 2019. It was, that's why you see a lot of Ring of Honor talent, the New Japan talent, the CMLL talent, all by virtue of working with Ring of Honor. Those were Ring of Honor ring skirts. That was Ring of Honor production. I even believe that some of the announcers were from Ring of Honor. But nevertheless, it was an NWA event in spirit. So, Paladin, okay. I mean, you're right, man. You're right. But it's also up to the perception of the public, right? And if the public doesn't want to associate with you or your brand because of a certain individual, isn't that capitalism at its finest by choosing to vote with your dollar where you will spend your money? And if you want to support that wrestler, you're more than welcome to. But it's also a wrestling promotion's, decision whether or not they're going to continue to associate that. Anyways, more so than that, Davey Richards stepped away from the ring. I mean, he made a brief announcement on Twitter that he would be taking a sabbatical from pro wrestling. And so until that changes, as of right now, he's not even in the business. So that's it, man. We got 60 seconds to power, so we're going to wrap it up here. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Tuesdays are always so much fun when you join me here on the pre-party. We'll be here on Wednesday. Like I said, the other Alliance guys. Later, an interview with Mikey O'Shea, and then my camera's dead. And we'll just say, end the show, and we'll see you at the matches. Good night. Thanks for checking out the Pre-Party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. You should hit that subscribe button and join our community. I also want to remind you that we recap NWA Power every Thursday at 8 p.m. in the live stream. We try to stay social, so find us at the Alliance blog. And until next time, we are the Alliance.